Good morning, North Middle School students. We're today going to be making a slab bowl, and I call this one the Crazy Quilt slab bowl. Kind of showing you a bottom view, an upside down view. This is a bowl that's got a foot on it, and it's got textures on it, and these are rhythmic lines and rhythmic shapes that are made out of texture tools. But it's pieced together kind of like a crazy quilt. We're going to roll a slab, cut all kinds of different sizes and shapes, and this is what the finished bowl looks like. We're going to add an extra touch by adding a little surprise applique to the inside of the bowl. I'm not sure how well you can see that little applique, but there's a heart in there. So when you fill the bowl up with something and you get to the bottom of the bowl, there's a little surprise there. This one's a heart. You can cut out a shape that you like, such as a star, a letter, a leaf, maybe a little bug shape, whatever you'd like to cut out, and add your bowl. Now this particular bowl does have a rim to it. The sample I'm going to show you today does not have a rim. You can pick the size or the shape of the bowl that you prefer to do. So we're going to start off with a lump of clay, a big chunk of clay, and I'm going to press it into a large cookie size chunk of clay, kind of like a big chocolate chip cookie. And I'm going to lay it on my plastic sheet when it gets to be about the size of a giant cookie. And with my rolling pin, I'm going to roll it out into a flat slab of uniform thickness. Now when I'm rolling a slab, I want to roll in all directions. And I can take my plastic sheet and actually turn as I roll, so that I can make sure that I'm not going all in one direction. And this also helps me to get uniform thickness throughout the slab. Now I've brought a piece of ceramic tile along with me today so that I can kind of use this as a measurement. I want my slab to be about as thick as this ceramic tile. I know that if I get it any thinner than this ceramic tile, it's going to be too thin. So this is what I'm using. Oops, got a little gouge there. This is what I'm using as my guide. Once I get my slab the thickness that I want it, and I can have as much clay as I need, so I'm not worried about how big it is. I'm more concerned with the uniform and the even thickness. Once I have it where I want it, then I'm going to pick a texture sheet. Now in picking out texture sheet, you want to make sure you get a texture sheet where the imprint goes up. In other words, this is a low relief that's facing up. And I'm going to take that and turn it down on the clay. And with my rolling pin, I'm going to roll over it with an even pressure. I'm not pressing hard because I don't want it to stick to the plate, the texture plate. This is going to give me my rhythmic lines and my rhythmic shapes. And then I carefully peel the texture plate off. Now, if my clay is too soft or too wet, I am going to have a problem with that texture plate. It's going to stick. If that's the case, just roll it back into a tight ball and then start all over again. So I've got my first slab. I'm going to peel this off my plastic. And to do that, I actually want to peel the plastic away from the clay and not the clay away from the plastic because I don't want to stretch out my clay. And I'll set that aside and roll out my second slab. Now I'm going to probably need 2 or 3 slabs altogether. I probably won't be using that much clay, but it's a good idea to have 2 or 3 different textures. And I think I'm going to add a little bit more clay to this. Make sure that you press the clay well so that you don't have any air bubbles. The clay that you're getting is going to be very moist. It's very good quality clay. Once you have it in a big cookie sheet, roll it out. Now if you press too hard, it's going to stick to your rolling pin. You don't want that to happen. Don't press hard. Turn several times. Lift up several times so that you can see whether or not it's going to stick to your rolling pin. Use your tile as your guide. That's just about the right thickness. And then pick your second texture plate. If you don't have enough to go around at your table, you can share with people from other tables. And I have to look at it carefully. This side is the side that's facing up, so that's going to go down. and roll again. Now I'm not going to roll out 3. I'm going to go ahead and start cutting mine, but I think you get the idea of what I'm talking about. Carefully peel it off. I'm trying not to let the clay stick to it. So now I have 2 slabs of clay with rhythmic lines and rhythmic shapes created by the textures. My next step is going to be to take my knife and cut shapes. And I'm just going to cut straight across. I'm kind of slicing with the clay. And it's a good idea to get triangular shapes. So I'm actually just cutting straight across and kind of meeting in the middle so that I end up with about 6 different triangular shapes. I'm going to set that aside for a minute and then talk about the bowl. Now you can pick out whatever size bowl you want. For demonstration purposes, I'm using a small bowl. It's just a basic cereal bowl, plastic. I'm going to cover it with a plastic bag because I don't want the clay to stick to the bowl. And once I've got it covered, I kind of push it in. I don't want the sticker to be part of the texture, so I make sure the sticker's on the outside. And now I've got my bowl covered. And with my texture slab pieces, I'm going to start laying them in the bowl. And I'm going to lay them in the bowl so that they're slightly overlapping the edge and filling up the bowl. Now it's going to kind of tilt over as I'm working. That's okay. You want it to do that. And I'm just going to start filling in them side by side. As I said, go slightly over the edge. You can put them side by side, slightly overlapping if necessary, but don't overlap a whole lot. Now when you first start this, they're going to kind of slide around on you. That's okay. Get it filled in quickly. And then just start piecing it together. I'm actually going to go all the way over here to the other side to kind of balance it out. Now I don't know if you can tell by looking at the video, but my textures are actually facing down and the smooth side is facing up. And I want to get this a little bit higher up. So I'm actually going to place a texture right here in the middle. That'll kind of force my clay to go higher up. I'm going to pull this plastic back up because I want this to go all the way to the edge. And I'm just piecing this together. I'm laying them side by side and putting it together kind of like a crazy quilt, if you know what that is. And now I'm kind of looking to see how are these pieces going to start filling in. And that one kind of overlaps, but it fits in there pretty nicely. This one looks like it's not quite going to fit there, but I'm going to keep this in mind so I'll know that I need to fit something in there, that shape. So when I cut my next slab, I'm going to make sure that I get something that'll fit it. This one I'm going to have coming up here and going over the edge. Now I think this will kind of get you started. I'll come back with you in just a minute and show you how the rest of my bowl looks as I continue filling it in. So go ahead and get started. Roll 3 slabs, put textures on them. Cover your bowl with plastic. Cut out your pieces in triangular shapes. You can also use some rectangular shapes. Triangles are good though because they fit together in a bowl shape pretty nicely. And then start laying them in your bowl with the texture facing the bowl and the smooth side facing you. Thanks, and I'll be back with you to finish up the bowl at our next lesson.